Well, you can hear me. That's good. How does it sound? Any different? And the only reason I ask is because let's see. Open widget. Let's see here. Please check video resolution. Ooh. I think we fixed it. Hey. There we go. All right, let's see here. Not about yet. So I can do this. And then move this over here. Nope, don't do that. So many buttons, you guys. Now you can see and hear. Wonderful. Let me know how the audio sounds because we're using our new microphone today, which is super fun. I like it. I like it a lot. How's that? Centered? Sound good? Everything good? Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Who do we have? Hi, Karen. Hi, Mom. Leah. I'm a modern yeoman. It's good to see you all. So yes, we have our fancy microphone. Woo. So I'm trying that today. I actually had to I had to sit it on top of my camera because it's the way it mounts right there. I don't have anything else for this to sit on, so we're gonna try it like that and see how it goes. Oh, it sounds good all the way over in Texas, Leah says. Well, perfect. My tea this evening is a peach detox. I am digging this turmeric. I'm trying to figure out, well, I'm going to have to figure out how to grow it here because it's delicious. It's zone 8 and we're 7, I think. Or it's up to zone 7 and we're zone 8, so it's too far. But I think we can grow it inside. One of the things we want to do is build a greenhouse. Have you guys seen the sunken greenhouses where they bury them like 4 feet in the ground? And because of the geothermal effect of everything, it actually is warmer. So you can grow things that you wouldn't normally be able to grow if you can do it like in the sunlight. But having that geothermal properties allows you to do some kind of neat things. So that's one of the things we want to experiment at some point when I have a bucket to dig with. I'm not digging a sunken greenhouse by hand. I did the rain garden by hand, and that was enough. That thing was 14 feet wide by 16 feet long by 2 feet deep, and it was something like 77 yards of dirt. That's plenty. Oh, good. Leah says, turmeric is easy. I'm an 8 and I grow it. Do you keep it like inside? I think it said 10 months to harvest. So do you start it inside and put it near the window? Come here. I do have an update on our barn cats. Come here. No. One of them is no longer a barn cat. One of them is inside. The other one I had to put on the trail camera to actually see if it's still alive, and it is. And it's in the barn, so that's good. But anyhow, yeah, this tea is delicious. I'm going to have to make some more of it. I'm drinking it too quickly. But I have a Benchmade knife that I carry all the time. It's a auto assist open Presido black Mel Pardue blade for those of you that are really into knives. 5000 series. They're they don't make that particular blade anymore, but it doesn't make it rare or anything. It's just they don't. And Karen says, Brian, you need to borrow my backhoe to dig the hole for your sunken greenhouse. Too bad I live in Southwest Florida, excuse me. Yeah, that would be a bit of a drive to get your equipment here, although I do appreciate the offer. The local Ace actually up here, rural Aces are nothing like Aces in cities. They're amazing. They have all kinds of stuff. So the rural Ace here, you can rent equipment like that. And I think I've showed you guys, we got the truck and we have that equipment hauler so I can actually move things to the property back and forth without actually having to buy the whole thing. So we might do that in the fairly near future. But this Benchmade knife was my everyday carry, and I loved it because it had a stud on either side that when you pulled it, the blade flipped open and locked. It didn't come out the front like the Infidel model. It was just a regular folding knife, but it was spring-loaded. And you had to close it by hand, so it's not an auto knife. And I've carried that thing every day for like 7.5 years, and the spring finally wore out. And that spring on that stud, when the knife opens, when it closes, or I'm sorry, when the spring pushes back, it locks it open or it locks it closed. So it was useless. So I ordered new springs, and I started to take the knife apart and was filming it to do a, hey, look, these springs were $10 and you can do it yourself. And I totally lost a piece. I was doing it out on the deck for some quiet, and one of the sleeves around one of the bolts went ting, ting, ting off into the leaves, and it's gone. The beautiful thing about a Benchmade knife is even though I bought it used on Craigslist 7 years ago, I could fill out a warranty form and send it in. So my Benchmade knife is currently getting fixed, which makes me very happy. I don't know if you guys have something that you've carried like every day for years and years and years. But when you don't have it, it just doesn't work. And that knife fit my pocket well. Like it feels like leaving the house without your wallet or something. So hopefully I'll get it back in the next couple of days. Maybe I'll show it to you guys. But I've been building this massive chicken tractor. I think I posted earlier today just a picture of the frame of it. We went and bought a 5x10 trailer, and this is going to be in a full proper video. It's getting its own treatment. But our smaller tractors work very well, but they're a lot of work to move as often as I need to move them with how many birds I have in them. Now, I could make more chicken tractors and spread the birds out, but then you end up moving even more chicken tractors. And our Delawares and our Orps are getting too big for the grow out tractor that we have. So we are going to I've ordered 320 feet worth of electrified chicken netting, and that should be here by Friday. And we bought a 5x10 trailer, all metal. It was homemade, some homemade doodad that somebody did. And we're going to do, I've put a floor in it, and I've got it framed. I've got plywood on the roof, and my wife wanted it to look kind of cute. So instead of just throwing some plywood on the sides or tin or something like that, I've actually bought pressure treated fencing, and we're lapping the fencing like a wood lap. So, hey Brett, welcome. Love my Spyderco knife, Timothy Gowans says. Yeah, it's just having a good knife on you. It's just key. And a lot of knives, they just don't fit your pocket very well. I don't know what it is about knives, but I have like a Milwaukee knife. It's fairly cheap steel, but just the clip, the pocket clip is rubbish. I had a Gerber for a while, but I didn't like the clip. There's just something about it. It just has to fit, you know? So, yes, I did go with the Premier One fencing. We actually ordered it directly from their company. The Modern Yeoman asked if we used Premier One. We have I don't know if it's called a brain, but the solar panel shock doodad thingy that my mom sent to my wife for her birthday in September in preparation for this. But I'm thinking about making like an hourglass shape eventually with the netting, and in the middle of the we'll call it the eggmobile just so it's easy to delineate it from the the chicken tractors, even though it is a massive chicken tractor. I'm thinking about putting wire in the middle of the tractor. So if it's a long ways, separating it in the middle, and then having openings on either side, and then keeping my meat birds out on one side, and then my egg birds out on the other. And they can see each other, you know, through the mesh in the middle, but they won't be able to get to each other because the meat birds, obviously, we're going to harvest every so often. Whereas the egg birds, you know, we're going to keep for 2 or 3 years out there doing their thing. And if I do it this way, then at night, if I need to move the netting, I have both flocks up. You know, you can close the ramps up, and then we can take down the fence, move the fence to wherever we want. We get our feed locally from a guy who's just around the corner. I think I've mentioned that before. His name's Buck. He's a super cool dude. Has a massive farm. He's been here like 4 generations. So I'm not terribly worried about my feed disappearing, but it could definitely get more expensive. So, hey, Karen. Karen's got to run. She says, have a good evening, everyone. You too, Karen. This will be here forever, so you can watch it at your leisure. So I think the hourglass figure shape is kind of the way to go. I also want to put them out in the woods because there's lots of stuff for them to scratch in there. So we'll see how that goes. But that should arrive Friday. I'm hoping to have this thing done. I've bought shingles for it. We're doing shingles and cute wooden door handles, and pretty much building the whole thing out of scratch wood that's been laying around, which you'll see in the video. I'm playing with the time lapse a bit, so it should be kind of fun. Although using time lapse is hilarious because we just got this nice new shiny fancy microphone, and then time lapse doesn't need a microphone, but it doesn't matter. So as you guys know, I've been trying to clean out my barn and get ready for things, and I left my drills. I have 2 rigid drills somebody gave me. My DeWalt's I beat to death. They don't work anymore. And so these rigids have been my go-to. One was an impact, one's a regular driver, and the batteries got wet. And I threw them on the charger, and it didn't. They're dead. And I'm not sure if the drills are bad as well as the batteries, but as you guys know, when you put a battery on a charger, it will, you know, blink red, letting you know that it's dead, and then it will, whatever your charger does. So the green light will flash when it's charging or whatever. There's always an error code, and mine flashed error on both of them. So I was debating on whether to buy 2 more rigid batteries or just go buy a toolkit. And I went back and forth, and my battery operated Sawzall is worn out, my battery operated skill saw is worn out, I can't find my battery operated flashlight, so I can justify needing to buy a battery operated toolkit. When I looked at some of the prices, I was astounded. I had thought about switching over to the Milwaukee's. I've been a DeWalt guy my whole life, but the Milwaukee has those stackable sets, so you can get all the little boxes and stuff, and everything stacks real nice and neat, and you can secure them, and I thought that was pretty cool. But an 8-piece toolkit from Milwaukee was like either $900 or $1,000 for decent tools. I mean, you can get the one with the flashlight and a radio and something else, but to get actual tools, Sawzall and oscillator and stuff like that was ridiculous. And so I looked at DeWalt, and it was the same thing. So we were up at Lowe's a couple days ago, and their Craftsman has a 20-volt Craftsman series 8-piece toolkit, and it was on sale for $279, regularly $400. And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And so I bought it to basically build this chicken tractor with. I'm sorry, Eggmobile. And would you know, this silly little Craftsman, you know, whatever, has done great. It has done really, really well. The skill saw I figured would bind up or die, because I don't know if you guys have run 20-volt battery operated skill saws, but they don't tend to hold out very well. But man alive, I cut all day today with one 4.0 hour amp battery in that little skill saw, or skill saw, and it's been great. So if you happen across a 20-volt Craftsman set for on sale, or even not on sale, I think it was probably worth $400, but for whatever reason it was on sale for $279, and then they had two extra batteries for sale with it for $80. So I'm all set. But on to the chicken waterers, which I know is what everybody's waiting for. You don't really care about my tools. I get excited about tools. Sorry. We put those nipple waterers on. That was the first time we've attempted those. And as I said in the video, you know, we've been using those bell waterers for years and years and years, and we got tired of having to clean them. I don't know why they make them clear. Like, you would think somebody would have wrote in and, you know, dear bell waterer company, it turns to mush and orange slime and green slime and grossness within, you know, what, a day. So maybe try a different plastic. But we so we switched to the cups when we had the 7 birds in Hampton, and uh, it did better, but the cups did well for us because we hung the 5-gallon bucket. So if the 5-gallon bucket was hanging, typically they didn't get on top of it and they didn't poop in the cups. But the cups got full of stuff still because they just sit there open. And what are you looking for? Found it. My wife walked through and she's looking for something. I was hoping it was me, but it's not. Sad. She doesn't like to look at me with a mustache. So if the 5-gallon bucket was hanging and they couldn't get on top of it, they wouldn't poop in the cups. Otherwise, you know, those cups were just open and they were pooping in them. And now it was better than the bell waterers, but it still was not great. So the nipple waterers I put on 4 days ago, and I just filled the 5-gallon bucket for 15 birds. So I'm very happy. And the bucket was clean on the inside. It didn't have that slimy feel. The Orps, on the other hand, and that was the one where the nipple waterers were mounted more toward like the 1/3 up on the bucket, seemed like they weren't really sure still what was going on. Only about half of the water was gone. Now there's 10 birds in there, not 15, and they're not laying yet. So I'm not sure if part of the reason that there's more water in the bucket is because they just there's not as many birds. They're not quite as full grown and they're not laying eggs. So their water needs are obviously not as much. But just to be safe, I put one of the bell waterers back in there just to see. And they drank from the bell waterer, but not all of them. They didn't go like flooding over to it. You know, if you've ever seen thirsty birds, they go kind of crazy for it. So it more just seemed like when chickens are curious about stuff. So so far I think it's working. But the one I'm really, really happy with our egg birds. So the mustache. Let me. I think I mentioned it before, but we are at my station. We're participating in No Shave November, and it's to raise money for charity. On our About page on the Flannel Farms YouTube page, there's a link to the site, and I'm working to raise money for pediatric cancer research. I'm not a big fan of my own facial hair, but the whole crew is doing it, and so we try and promote brotherhood and things like that. So that's why the mustache. It'll be gone by the end of November. It is very very prickly. So this new chicken eggmobile, that we're building, I want to put a large water cistern of sorts on the outside of it, and then have it run PVC out of it, and have nipple waterers kind of running underneath the actual tractor itself, to where they can get to it, and we can fill it up from the outside. You don't have to actually go inside the eggmobile to do it, but I haven't done that yet. I'm still working on getting the siding done. So I also want to. We were looking at since this thing is so adorable. It looks like a little house. We were actually looking at putting up like an old wine barrel if I can find one, and using that as like the water tower on it. So, and then hooking up my PVC and maybe painting it to look kind of like wood, so it kind of fits into the motif, if you will. But that's just for funsies. It really doesn't have anything to do with practicality. In reality, I could go buy a Rubbermaid trash can and drill a hole in the side and put the PVC in it and attach the waterers, and that would work just fine. But it's a shame to build what looks like a little cottage on wheels and then put a trash can out in front of it. So if I have to, I will get one of my 55-gallon barrels and paint it brown and then like fiddle around with it and try and make it look like a barrel. But we'll see. There's no rush on it. Well, I take that back. There is a rush. The birds are getting big. They're getting real big. So I need to get them out into the field, excuse me, where they can forage and be free and stop eating so much feed. Good grief. But as I'm sure you guys know, getting the systems in place where you create enough food, enough pasture, and things like that for your animals to survive off of the space that you have is difficult. So baby steps, slowly, right, Sean? So Jeremy Norris says, how many chickens do y'all have? Currently we have, I think it's, well, 66. We lost one yesterday. We have 66. I'll go through our flocks real quick. We have 15 what we call our rescue birds. Our main flock kind of stopped laying as much, and now that I think about it, they're molting, so it probably has most to do with it, but I wanted more eggs. So I found a lady that was selling laying aged hens for $3 a piece, so we bought 15 of those, and they're all different sorts, but a lot of them look like Rhode Island Reds. There's at least one Americana and a couple that look like they could be Golden Comets. So who knows? But they're our rescue flock, and they're laying pretty well. We have our previous flock, the Rhode Island, or no, not Rhode Island Reds, excuse me, the Golden Comets that are about 3 years old, 2.5 years old, something like that. We had 6 of them and 3 Americanas all together, and we kicked them out of the chicken tractor and we put them out into the woods with a very small mobile coop type deal, so they go out and just free range all day, and then at night they put themselves away and we close them in. And that's worked really well until the bird of prey snagged one of them yesterday. So, oops. And then we have 10 almost mature Buff Orpingtons that we want to use as egg layers. And then we have, I forget how many. We bought, I think it was 40 or 45 of Orps and Delaware Whites. Not each, but total. I don't remember what the ratio is exactly. I think it was 16 Orps and like 24 Delawares. And the Delawares and the Orps are a good dual purpose bird. So we're going to see how well they lay eggs. And we'll see how they taste. We're not sure which ones we're going to use for meat birds yet between the Orps and the Delawares. Just depends on what they taste like. The Orps and the Delawares that we bought that are now currently 6 weeks old, were straight run. So 16 hens most just started. He says that's a good number. Couldn't tell from the videos. We have 16 hens. Yeah, well, because they're all over the place. So I have, I mean, they're everywhere. Oh, and I forgot. We have 4 what we call house birds. These are 4 bantam type. I'm not sure. They were also from somebody on Craigslist that gave them to us. So, good evening. And because two of those of the 4 are roosters, and they're not quite mature yet, but I mean they're seriously like, I can't tell what camera is, about yay big, and they're pretty much fully grown. So we just kind of put them out in the house and let them be on bug patrol, and they've been roosting up in the trees and doing great for the 2.5 months we've been here, almost 3 months. But a fox did get one after we lost after our dog ran off. So we still don't have another replacement for the dog yet, but it's something we'd like to do before too much longer. But as I'm sure you guys know, with trying to work full time and raise kids and then put all these systems in place, you can spend all day working and it doesn't feel like you got anywhere. But get off the table. The cat's being ridiculous. Sorry. So our smaller birds are getting bigger, so I need to get this big eggmobile done so that I can move the other birds out of the chicken tractors and out into open pasture, and then I want to take the Orps and the Delawares out of the small grow-out tractor. The small grow-out tractor is only 3 foot by 6 foot, and there's like 40 6-week-old birds in there. So I want to move them out into the other chicken tractors that we have and kind of split them up. And with their size and everything, I think they'll do fine out there. And then we will put them on the other side of the eggmobile potentially. Leah says puppy for Christmas. Yep, maybe. Hey, Steele says howdy from Texas, y'all. Well, hello from the swung to the red state of Virginia. Apparently, how weird was that? That election was something else. So, left, right, center. It was unexpected. So. Other than foxes and bird of prey, do you guys deal with a lot of predators? Not really. There are coyotes around, but I haven't seen any on the property. So I think that the netting will be okay for the smaller predator that we have. You know, the raccoons and the rats and the foxes. I might need to get. Well, actually, let me ask you, Sean. You have those owls with the little spinny heads on them, but you still had a bird of prey kind of come over to make that dive on one of your birds. So have you found anything to kind of help keep the birds of prey away? I do remember you saying that if you had like a large black chicken, that the birds of prey thought it was potentially a another bird of prey or a crow, and they stayed away. They didn't mess with them. I'm not really sure yet. So Jeremy says we're looking at building a permanent coop. We have a tractor now, but they are getting a little big to keep using it. Yep. I have a bad-mannered, noisy 3-year-old Labrador if you want him. Maybe. I think tractors, to be honest, are best for smaller flocks and like backyard type smaller acreage, smaller operations. They absolutely can work on a large scale, but I mean, I'm sure all of you know who Joel Salatin is. Hey, Floribama, welcome. And he's got, I mean, when we went to visit his place, I can't even remember now, 20 or 30 chicken tractors out there. So, but he also has staff. You know, I don't know if you've been to his farm or not, but if you have, they have, what do they call them, ambassadors or something like that. There's like 2 layers of people that have one is like paid staff, and the other one is like they volunteer for a season. And if they do well when they volunteer for a season, they can apply for like the 10 paid staff positions. So if you have all the time in the world to go move chicken tractors, or that is literally your job, maybe you're retired and that's the only thing you have to do. I think chicken tractors are great. They're very inexpensive. You can move them around a lot. You don't need a huge space. You don't have to worry about the electric fence. You don't have to worry about a tractor to move your large, eggmobile. So logistically speaking, in those senses, they're very, very easy. But when you have, 3 kids and you're homeschooling and you're working full time and you're trying to do everything else that you're trying to do, right? If all we did was chickens and everything else we wanted to do was store bought, it wouldn't matter. We could have 50 chicken tractors out there. Who cares if it takes you half a day to move them? But we have a lot of other stuff we want to do. We want to grow a lot of our food. We want to grow a lot of the stuff for our chickens to eat. We want pigs. We want cows. So there's a lot to do. Then you have to preserve everything that you make. You have to put the infrastructure in place so that you can preserve this stuff. So I need the systems to be more simple. I don't know if it's simple to use a tractor to move something, but at the very least, less time consuming, so that we have time to do more things. So, Tim Gowan says, we have dogs to keep the predators away. There are bobcats, eagles, possums, and bears around here too. No real problems. The dogs earn their keep. So, what you doing, Caramel? The cat's going bonkers over here. I think the cats are starting to become friends. We had another cat named Ninja. She's still here. She's the fat, lazy old one. And for the first 4 or 5 days this cat's been inside, she's done nothing but hiss at him. Come here. Come here. See? Does this look like a barn cat to you? It's an inside cat. No. Inside cat. I know. Yeah, dogs keep the predators away if you can keep your dogs from eating your chickens. So Jeremy says, we have a half an acre in the city and they say we can only have 20 birds and we can't eat the chickens we raise. Hey man, I'm not telling. I think I've told you guys, one of the reasons we bought this place is because our neighbor called the authorities on us having the 10 chickens instead of the 7 or 6 that the permit allows for. How ridiculous is that? I mean, if you want to keep chickens in your apartment, what business is it of theirs? And so you can have birds which are meant to be eaten, but you can't eat them. That is, yeah. I'm very happy I've moved to the sticks. It is so much better. Jeremy says, I have friends who breed a livestock protecting dog. Can't remember the name of the breed, but they're about a Labrador size, have fluffy white hair, and they haven't lost any chickens to predators. Cool. There's many breeds out there that you can get to protect, but holy cow, they're very expensive. Now, so's losing livestock and birds and stuff, but if I can find a mutt somewhere maybe that does both, I don't know. We'll see. But apparently Rottweilers, I didn't know this, were originally bred in Rotterdam, Germany, or something like that, and they were made to protect livestock. That's what they were bred for. So I found a place, and they wanted $2,000 for them. So no, that's a hard pass. I can buy a lot of chickens for $2,000, but it does have to be a good Great Pyrenees. That sounds right. Steel Ross says Great Pyrenees with a question mark, but I think you're right. It's a big dog. But we'll have to do something, especially if we put the birds out in the field. So I'm going to get a couple of those owls. And we do have a large black chicken that's in our rescue flock, so hopefully that will help. But even if we get a dog, the front field is 500 or 600 feet from the house. So unless I fence the dog in with the chickens, during the day or something and let them run around out there, instead of keeping them in the house, it's not really going to solve my problems. But I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. So Jeremy says, Rottweilers eat your children. There's always the potential. I think I'll just get like a little yappy Yorkie or something and put it out in the field. With how much those things bark, it'd probably be pretty good at... Well, I'd probably just get eaten by a hog. Oh my gosh. So, but yeah, things are steadily progressing here. We got a cool opportunity. My nephew's here this week. Let's just say some family had to flee a state in this great country that is mandating things. So they have moved here to Virginia. They just got here last week, and they're working on getting their feet under them. And as I'm sure you guys know, moving cross country is always difficult. And so they were trying to get set up and established and unpacked and all that stuff. And they've also bought a bit of a homestead. They've done some really cool stuff. They've been in Alaska for years and actually did like homestead babysitting kind of thing. So they're very experienced, and she is very, very good at the natural medicine and what to grow and what the plants are and what they treat and all that kind of stuff. So we're hoping to get them down here to help us establish our medicine garden and our tea garden. I want to grow a tea garden. I want to have a greenhouse that will help me grow teas that I can't grow here regularly. But so my nephew's here, and I haven't seen him in like 4 years. So he's going to be here for 4 or 5 days. He's about the same age as my son. So the two of them are thick as thieves, just running around having a great time. Jeremy wrote topic. You messed me up, Jeremy. Off topic, he says, if you and your bro did a short documentary about your parents and how they raised their kids, that could be a huge encouragement to others moving forward. Interesting. It's an interesting idea, Jeremy. Liberty Not Licensed, welcome, says new state government in Virginia should be much better too. We can hope. As I'm sure most of you know, we don't put our faith in man in either party, and when things go one way or the other, we know where our hope comes from. However, it is nice to see the potential for sanity to return. Who knows? I have been very frustrated by people that call themselves conservatives in the past because we put them in power and then they do the same thing that everybody else does. But this time, things have gotten really, really crazy. But Jeremy, back to your off topic. That would be interesting. I can tell you what they did briefly, but they put the Lord first, and then they put raising their kids as their number one mission. So even though our parents were in full-time ministry and things like that, we were still the primary. My dad used to call us his report card, essentially, right? So as most of you know, I'm sure the Bible says that if you don't govern your house well, then you should not govern in a church or be in leadership. And when I was 15, 16, 17, I did stupid things that many teenagers do. It's easy to gloss over, but really what it was is sin and rebellion. I was rebelling against what my parents taught me and rebelling against God. And my parents actually sat down and had a talk with me about how Dad would leave the ministry, basically because if I didn't walk in it, then he had failed as a parent. Now, I'm sure you all know that people, when they hit a certain age and they're out from underneath whatever, they have to make their own choices. We are all responsible. So this isn't a condemnation of anything. This is just my story. So don't take offense or read into anything. This is just that. So, but we were homeschooled back in the 80s, which made a huge difference, because I think it's very, very difficult to send your kids away from you for 8 hours a day, regardless of where they go, and then have them come back and you be able to program them correctly or teach them correctly. I just think that's very hard. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just some things are more difficult than others. So, that's essentially what they did. So, Jeremy Normus and Jeremy V are going to get each other confused. They said one of them's going to have a death match. So, I'm trying to follow in that sense. I'm trying to follow in my parents' footsteps and raise my kids in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And we homeschool, and I consider my wife my number one ministry, and my kids my number two ministry, and the church the number three ministry. So, but it would be interesting to make a documentary, actually. And you know what else would be interesting about that documentary is not just me and my brother, but there's 7 of us kids, and my sister's my youngest sister is 11 years younger than me, so she was not raised in a different family, but I mean, I was gone at 18. I moved out. She was 7, so she has a whole different view on upbringing and even a different relationship with mom and had with dad than I did or my brother did, because we were the first 2. So Very interesting. Liberty Not Licensed says, indeed so. Perhaps Nineveh were yet returned to him. May his sent ones go and be heard to their abundant lives and to his glory alone. Amen. Amen. That's the thing, right? I mean, I'm sure all of us are trying to prepare in some way or another for the impending apocalypse, right, as we see it. And we talked about this before too, how people in the 60s, built bomb shelters and things like that because they thought the end of the world was coming. Well, the thing about crying wolf, right, is eventually the wolf actually shows up and eat people. So, but it's no reason to fear or panic or anything else. It's just being prepared. So if you're prepared for the end of the world, then a snowstorm isn't a big deal. A hurricane isn't a big deal. An illness isn't a big deal. I think we have put our faith in systems that we have very little to no control over. Government potentially being one of those systems. The supply chain, as we've learned, is way more fragile than I think any of us ever realized. And so, I mean, I went to Walmart this week, and the pork selection was almost non-existent. So there's it was probably 95% gone. There was like 2 packs of sausage of any type left. Only, anyways. So you can have all the 401ks and money in the bank and everything else, but if you can't buy anything with it, it doesn't really matter. And then we become concerned with the numbers. So, yeah, it's just being prepared. Food security is something that I never even thought about. And I grew up in South Florida where there was hurricanes, and every June or something, our parents would go through and refresh the closet, and we would make sure we had 4 days worth of water and 10 days worth of food or whatever it was. And it was cans of stuff and 4,500 packs of ramen, which is really good if you crack a couple eggs, whip them up in a cup like you're going to make stir fry, and then when your eggs are actually cooked, you bring it up to a real fast boil, spin it, pour those eggs in nice and slow, and you have egg drop soup, basically. It's delicious. But that's off topic. So, keeping some food around was kind of normal, but I never really thought that there wouldn't be, you couldn't just go buy stuff. There was 3 frozen turkeys left. And, I mean, we're weeks out. Normally there's stacks and stacks of them, so. But there was still a lot of food, right? There was still a lot of food in that place. Those were the exceptions to the rule. There was still a ton of milk. There was a ton of eggs. There was a ton of pasta and bread and all the stuff you need to live. Well, I need pasta and bread to live. It's delicious. But it's scary. But we can fix it in a lot of ways if we bring things back to local. And we've talked about it. I think we talked about it last week about creating separate economies, a parallel economy, if you will. So if we start looking for our neighbors to buy from, and supporting that type of local system, I used to, to my chagrin, the liberal side of politics had it right in a lot of ways when it came to shop local, shop organic and all those kind of things. And I used to think, what a bunch of moonbats, you're going to waste all this money and spend, $6 a pound on, organic chicken when you can go get it for 99 cents. And that was just my own ignorance in not looking into how stuff was made. And then once you find out how it's made and washed in ammonia and all this other stuff, it's just, ugh. So most of what I'm doing isn't even, not most, a lot of what I'm doing, half, 3/4, 2/3, 1/52, doesn't matter, isn't just about food security, but about knowing what my food looks like, what my food ate, how my food was treated, respecting the chickenness of the chicken, as Joe Salatin likes to say. But I know that the radishes I cooked the other day, I literally went out into the field, pulled them up, chopped the greens off, washed them, diced them, cooked them and ate them. I mean, they were out of the ground 30 minutes before they were in my belly. Delicious. So I want to know what my family's eating. And I want to be able to provide some of that food if people are so inclined to my local friend group. So it's not just about panicking and heading for the hills. A lot of it is just trying to do things the right way. So Liberty Not Licensed says, our perfect father wants only the best for us. So too I want good for my children and grandchildren. There's nothing in our way from this but our decisions and our actions. Jeremy Norris says, thank you for responding to the topic. My wife and I run a homeschool co-op. It's a lot of work, but dang, God gives us kids. We ought to give them back to God and not turn them over to Caesar. Amen. I agree 100%. That co-ops are a lot of work. But yes, sounds like you've listened to Vadi Bachman. Jeremy V says, I'm kicking myself for not raising turkey this year. I plan to, but let the time slip away. Man, that's just what happens. It happens quick. You know, you think you're getting ready to do something, and all of a sudden it's 3 weeks later, and you're just... So when we first got to this place, it was the end of August, and I think by the first week of September I had planted food because I could feel the season changing, and I knew we didn't have time. So... Conquer your future. Bolshevik Russia, Germany, economic crash, political revolution, vaccine, travel passes, concentration gulag camps, government confiscation of food supplies, starvation, and genocide. That was a statement, but I think I agree with your sentiment. Liberty Not Licensed says, some food banks, not pantries, have been given notice that upcoming shortages are very likely. Yeah. Jeremy V says, do we have any turkey farms in VA that will sell directly? That I don't know, but Timothy Cowan is in Virginia, and he has some meat chickens that he's harvesting this Thursday with Carl and family, but he also has some turkeys. I don't know, Tim, are you selling turkeys? I can't remember how many you have, 20 or 30? Or is it just something you're doing for yourself? Just asking questions. Yeah, my buddy Carl is coming over on... You've seen Carl, he was in the visiting the farm video. He's a very good friend of mine, him and his family. They were here for our Reformation Day. He's coming over on Friday this week to help me get some stuff done. We're hoping to clear some more woods so that the chicken tractor, eggmobile, can sit out there and I can let the birds actually roam through the woods a bit, which might be risky because they could, jump the fence if they climb the trees, but I don't really care. And then if I can get a few lanes cleared, we're really seriously considering pigs in the next month. Of course, I think I've been saying that for a month, and if I can get them through there, we actually found some Holsteins that are a week away from being bottle weaned for a very reasonable price. So I don't know. There's a lot happening. Yeah. The modern yeoman chances, we're especially excited about raising our own meat right now. So Jeremy, aka Chuck Norris, says, dude, Jeremy, I priced the cost of raising turkeys and thought it wasn't worth it until I saw that buying a 20-pound turkey was more than raising one. Let's go. That's right. Let's do it. Conquer Your Future says, the 10 Stages of Genocide by Genocide Watch. Copy. So the 10 stages, I think, is what he listed, were the Bolshevik Russia, Germany, economic crash, political revolution, vaccine, travel passes, concentration gulag camps, government confiscation of food supply, starvation, and genocide. So yeah, sketchy. So here's the problem is we basically have an oligarchy now, right? I mean, we have all these massive companies that are all in bed with the government, and the government's in bed with all these massive companies. So who's supposed to watch out for who? The balance of power's all gotten screwed up, but whatever. It's tough. Liberty Not Licensed says, and for so long, so many dismiss such potential as ridiculous impossibilities that conquer your future. Not so now. Yep, exactly. Liberty Not Licensed says, Flam Farm is growing quickly. We're trying. Again, there seems to be a reprieve coming from some of these mandates. Here's the thing about mandates, guys. I hate executive orders, and I don't care who gives them. I don't like them. Now, from what I understand about executive orders, they're only supposed to enforce the laws that are already on the books, right? Whatever that means. But we've seen in especially recent years that if a issue was too important, they would just try it anyways and see what happens. And we obviously haven't revolted on either side, so we've kind of just taken it. Again, either way. And we can talk about massive government overreach on either side, from the Patriot Act to current, mandates. And healthcare, and, pick a topic, whatever. So unless something goes through the terribly inefficient Congress, which is inefficient for a reason, we shouldn't be just signing things, because then one of the benefits of Congress making laws and stuff is it's very hard for them to do so. But when it takes them a really long time to do it, the president comes, the president goes, next guy comes in, next guy goes. But everything's kind of stable, and we're in this weird banana republic-y type. Trump comes in, he signs all these executive orders, or Obama signs them, and then Trump nullifies them with him signing them, and then Biden comes in, he nullifies him by signing the one that he signed, and the laws are just all over the place. It's really not a good thing. We need to fix that. But Jeremy, aka Chuck Norris, says, "Peace out, thanks y'all. Got to put the kids to bed." Heard that. Good night to your kids. Steel Roz says, "The son-in-law harvested 2 wild hogs 2 weeks ago. Then Saturday morning, deer season opened. You got a nice sized buck." That's awesome. So there's deer on my property. I have found them with my trail cam, but I've only seen them in the field twice with the trail cam, and once was at like 7 in the evening, and once was like at 11:30 at night. So I think I found their trail, so I need to kind of track it back a bit to see if I can lay in wait for when they start moving earlier and I can still see. So Molly says, "You're exactly right. There's no balance of power, no checks and balances." Yeah, and Molly, the fourth branch of government was supposed to be the media, and they were supposed to keep us informed. And now what we have, what seems like, is just opinion pieces from everybody, and it's almost impossible to know what to think or believe. So I think it's even more important than ever to find people who are like-minded and stick with them, do what we can do. But regardless of what happens with our government, politics, and large companies and everything else, God is in control. There is a plan. We might not be privy to it, but it's gonna sort itself out one way or another. So we'll figure it out. We'll just be along for the ride. So, but yeah, I don't know how long we have. So on one hand, I'm trying to get as many systems in place as I possibly can. And if for example, the election that just happened here in my state in Virginia, I mean, I know it happened in Jersey and New York and a bunch of other little places. Some of like that truck driver that won, that's super cool. There might be a reprieve, so there might be time to get some of these systems in place before it crashes. And it might not crash, right? There's always the possibility that it goes, we rein in spending and all kinds of stuff, and then things are good for the next 10 years. That would be a wonderful break. It would give a lot of us time to get some systems in place. And I think of our property as a life raft, right? I don't think of it as a vault and a bunker where I stay and hunker down and, fight off all the zombies. I think of it as, if everything gets really bad and I have these systems in place, I can upscale. I want to be able to upscale things quickly. So if I have a couple cows, start off with a couple cows, start off with a couple pigs, start off with my flocks of chickens. If I can make those things happen quickly. Now I know there's very rapid food you can do, rabbits, quail, things like that, where you can increase your food supply very, very quickly. I just don't really care for rabbits that much, and quail are so little, so much work. But all that to say, so if things got bad, I could help feed, some of our friends, and they could come here if they had to, and they could help work, and we would already have things in place, so we would know that, hey, if we are biointensive farming this, whatever, 10,000 square feet worth of area, that totally feeds my family. Well, we have more than that. We have however many thousand of square feet we have. 500. I think we have 500,000 square feet. Maybe it's 515,000. I don't know, something like that, but whatever. if I know that that feeds my family, then if you come, I've already got the seeds, I've already got the area, I've already got the tools. Come make your food, and we'll get through it, right? Even the Iron Curtain fell after 40 years, but people stuck together. So Jeremy V says, yeah, I don't think people understand what they're asking for when they say, I wish they could just work together and get something done. You're right. Yeah, I want them to lock each other up on both sides. So Liberty Not Licensed says, there's only one king, and I try to hear and obey. All others are pretenders, would-be usurpers of authority. When and if Americans return on a large scale to such belief, favor through presence will return. I agree. I agree. Steel Raw says the bill the House passed still has to go through the Senate. Hopefully they will have enough. They won't have enough votes. Yeah, I mean we'll see. And again, our hope isn't in man, right? So we'll have to pray and see what happens. The Modern Yeoman says people used to make fun of preppers, not anymore. I'd much rather be prepared and nothing happen than the other way around. Exactly. And what is money for, right? Money is a tool. So if Elon Musk showed up in our chat right now, right, and he's worth however many $200 billion, but he has no way to make food, and it all collapses, what good is all his money? It doesn't make any difference. And we've seen plenty of movie stars and celebrities and everything else commit suicide after getting everything they wanted. They had all the money in the world, all the influence, all the fame, because that's not where the answers lie. So if I spend a vast majority of the money I make having these systems in place so that if something happens, my family's taken care of, great. And if nothing happens, this is a great lifestyle. it's not a sacrifice in that sense. It takes a lot of time, but what else are you going to spend your time doing? Building things, creating things, wresting food out of the land, molding, shaping. These are wonderful things that are extremely satisfying. I go to bed at night very, very content if I've spent the day on the farm doing stuff. And I mean, I got home from work this morning at 9:15, 9:20, and helped the kids for half an hour, 45 minutes on their schoolwork, and then went outside and spent the rest of the day building a large chicken eggmobile. And it's great. It's so much fun. So, Liberty Not Licensed says, we are currently experiencing labor pains of his revelation. In his opinion, he would that none should perish. Long-suffering love is giving notice and a chance to his beloved, as he always has. Yep. So, yep. Sean, he says Modern Yeoman agrees on the lifestyle. Love it out here. Yeah, I don't miss living in the city or with neighbors at all. I've had some great neighbors. I miss them as people, but living in a neighborhood, nah, I'm good. It's been great. So, well, do you guys have any other questions before we sign off? I finished my tea like 15 minutes ago, and now I'm sad. I want another one. But if you have any questions on anything that we've talked about or haven't talked about or whatever, feel free to throw them in the chat. And if not, then we'll have to go our separate ways and entertain ourselves until next week. We should be able to do another one next week. I'm really enjoying this time with you guys. I'd like to do it 2 times a week, quite frankly, but I don't know that I have the time. So, Jeremy V says, how many egg-laying chickens do you have? Of age currently, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22. And I think the one flock's molting is almost done, so their production is starting to pick up again. But I want between 40 and 60 consistent laying birds. I'm currently selling eggs to 2 guys at work, and there's another guy that wants some. And when they started molting, my supply dropped down to almost nothing, so it wasn't good. But if I have 10 laying birds, Rhode Island Reds I found to be the best layers. But if I have 10 Rhode Island Reds, for example, I have way more eggs than my family can eat. So, good night, Mom. Love you. Well, technically they all will lay eggs. Most of mine are too young. So, Modern Yeoman says, love that radish video. That was fun. I did enjoy it. It was good. Brett Akers has been in listening mode tonight. Great info, Brian. Thanks, Brett. I am trying to do it in some ways almost like a radio show with a picture. I found out after visiting with Bill Elrod and his lovely wife this week. They invited us over to the Berkeley Plantation and Harrison Landing Shipyard. That he's a truck driver and that he enjoys just listening, so he doesn't even watch the video to it. So I want to make sure that it's audible only a bull. Is that a thing? Anyways. Conquer Your Future said it's a great path, yet in California so many farms have been victim to weather warfare, laser weapons, EMF technology during the wildfires and droughts. I don't know much about California other than I'm glad I don't live there. So Molly Joy says, lifting this community in prayer. Be well and have a wonderful week. Thank you, Molly. You as well. God bless you. Yep, 40 to 60 egg birds is the goal. There's another guy at work that wants to start buying some eggs from us, so I want to do that. And I have a buddy who goes to farmers markets and sells pigs. He's a pig farmer. And so I'm hoping to maybe send him with some, because he's already going. So if I can make enough eggs, just send them with him, cut him in on it. I don't know. Yeah, Conquer Future says, as they move people to the Stone Age, they keep phenomenal technology. I forget who it was now. It was a fairly famous quote. One of the guys that, maybe it was Einstein, worked on the bomb, said, I don't know what weapons they'll fight World War III with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. So, we have Easter eggers because the wife wanted pretty eggs. We've done the Easter egger thing. Those are fun. So, good night, Mio. God bless you. All right, guys. I think we're gonna put a fork in this one. I appreciate y'all hanging out. It's good topic tonight. Good discussion. I appreciate your back and forth. It's always good to hear y'all's perspective on things. Helps keep us focused on what we're doing too. So I appreciate y'all being here. For those that listen in the future, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys soon. The chicken tractor video, sorry, Eggmobile. I keep calling it a tractor, the Eggmobile. I'm hoping to have out by Friday. It's a fairly long video because of how much work is being done, but I've also got a potential overtime shift coming up, and I'm back on duty tomorrow, so I might be at work for 72 hours. And if that's the case, then it's going to put a damper on filming the rest of it because I need to actually build it, and then I have to edit it. So he says good night from LA, Lower Alabama. His peace and